All right. So the very first lesson is about information and communication technology. So we are starting the things from the scratch, people, right? So like from the very 0 point, right? So you may have known about these things, but stick to me, right? So let's quickly go through what are these things, and we can go through for some advanced things, right? Okay, so the first thing is about the data and information, right? So these things are general things. Now data and information, we in every day in our day-to-day life, right, we are going to experience the data and information, right? We are getting messages, we are getting emails, we are getting news, right? News alerts, right? Like now it is kind of a very informative society that we have, right? Back in like if you think about 10 to 15 years back, devices are not that advanced on those days, right? So there were information, there were data, but they were not very much close to us, right? If we want some data or information, we are going to go for a specific device, or we are going to refer for a specific device, then we need to have that thing. So in simple terms, we have to find a source of data or source of information. Data and information හැදෙන තැන හොයාගෙන, can be a newspaper, can be internet, can be a book, right? Then we have to find those things. But nowadays it's not like that, right? Like in nowadays it's kind of we are informed even though we don't like, right? We are getting news alerts, sometimes we are not interesting about those things. We are getting some messages, sometimes we are not interesting about those things, but there can be people who are interesting about it as well, right? So it's good to know the difference between the data and information as a ICT student, right? So like as the first line says, it says the numbers, words, images, and symbols which do not bear a meaning when standing alone are called data. So that is going to be the definition of data, people, right? So it can be a number, it can be a word, it can be images, like images in the sense it can be part of the images, not an entire image, right? And the symbols which do not bear a meaning when standing alone are called data. And we can have the information, or we can receive an information when we use these data and process them or arrange them in a meaningful manner, right? A meaningful, the fact that saying meaningful is important, right? Because you can arrange the data in like where we can arrange data which is not going to give any meaning for us, right? Then මතකයිනේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ ශිෂ්‍යත්ව පන්තියේදී, right, you will be given some words and ask you to arrange that in an order to have a meaningful sentence. And sometimes we are struggling of arranging those words, right? We are not getting it clearly, so it will never give you a meaningful idea, right? So that is why meaningful fact is important. When the data is arranged or being processed in a meaningful manner, it is called an information. So the definition of data as well as definition of information is right over here, right? So I want you to take down, we are going to take down the things in a very simple manner, people. We are not going to go for a very big notes, right? So I want you to have the main heading, information and communication technology, indicate it is the unit 1, right? Then I'll highlight you the things what need to be written, right? And later, people, sometimes I'm going to give you some printed, not the printed note, actually, it's going to be a PDFs, right, of the notes, especially when it comes to the operating system, because we have like a lot to talk about the OS. So I will give you the note, the PDF, the electronic one, so you can print it if you want, right? Or else you can refer it by referring to it. So in those scenarios, you won't be able, you don't need to take down any notes onto your book. But for the first and second lessons, there are some general stuff where you have to write and practice. That is why we are going to have some thoughts or have some notes regarding the first and second. Okay. So are you done with the topic? Okay. So let's move to the definitions. So as the first point, write the very first sentence after having the heading people. So have the subheading data and information. Then as the first point under it, write this. I think you don't have the textbook, so I'm keeping this until you are done. So let me know when you are done, people. Okay, 2 are done. And as the second point, I'm going to read you the sentence. So write it down as the second point. When we arrange arranged, put a comma, processed data. When we arranged, processed, ed is there, processed data in a meaningful manner. When we arranged, processed data in a meaningful manner, we can find meaningful information. We can find meaningful information. We can find meaningful information. Okay. Right. So look at the examples that they have given here. Right. So moving to the example number 1. So it says, now, when you are presented with something like this, just this thing, right? If you are presented something like this, you won't be able to understand what this is, right? Ravi 78, 90, 79, 67, something, Rizwan, some figures, Kishan, some figures, right? If those things are there, What you can understand is, okay, there are some names. Then you can have idea, okay, these are regarding some people or some students. And there are some figures. And you can assume what are these things, but you can't say exactly what are these things. All right. So that is why we discuss the data does not have a meaning, an exact meaning, right? But when the same data is arranged like this, then we can say, okay, there is a very nice meaning in it. People, excuse me for a moment. Yeah, sorry for that. My throat is not good these days. All right. So yeah, when we arrange these things into this kind of table, it gives us a better meaning, right? So if someone presented with the table, then we can have the idea, okay, there are some names, there are some subject names as well. So definitely these things are going to be the marks regarding the subjects. So now with these things, can we came into some decisions? Can we come to some decisions? If I ask the question, who has the highest mark for the mathematics? What would be the answer? Yes, definitely. It's the Ravi, right? Now think about the situation that I'm presenting you only these things. And if I ask who has the highest marks for the science, can you say it using these things? You won't be able to, right? You won't be able to, right? So that is why in the definition it says, when the data is arranged in a meaningful manner, it is called an information. So with this information, we made a decision, right? Deciding who has the highest mark is a decision that we have made. So remember, that's a very important fact. When the data is arranged meaningfully, we can have the meaningful information. With the use of meaningful information, we can have the decisions, we can make the decisions. So those decisions will be correct decisions. And if in case if the information is not meaningful, then probably we may create a decision which is not that accurate, right? So with the meaningful information, we can make more accurate decisions, right? So those things are related. Data is being processed meaningfully to have information. Using the information, you can create the decisions. All right. Shall we take down just one example over here, right? So yeah, put the example number 1. Yeah. Just copy this down slowly, people. Right? Later, we will write some decisions that we are going to make as well. Right? You have no rush. Just write it down slowly. Take your time. Don't worry. We are still starting the ICT, so don't worry about it. All right, one is done. How about others? All right, is there anyone who is still writing? Please indicate. Okay, Tenuda, keep writing. Let me know when you are done. Okay, Senuka. All right, so we can continue. So at the latter part, yeah, we are not going to draw this. So let's write these two sentences regarding this, all right? So write the first point, people. Under the table, you can write it like this. The first point, by referring to the above table, by referring to the above table, by referring to the above table, we can, by referring to the above table, we can, excuse me, we can find some meaningful conclusions, find some meaningful conclusions, meaningful conclusions, full stop, such as, put a semicolon and come to the next line, such as, put a semicolon and come to the next line, Roman number 1, highest mark for a subject, highest mark for a subject. Roman number 2, lowest mark for a subject, lowest mark for a subject. Roman number 3, average mark of a student, average mark of a student. Excuse me. Yeah, average mark of a student, total mark of a student, total mark of a student, and the last one, rank of the student. Rank, let's write it like this: rank of each and every student. Rank of each and every student. Rank of each and every student. Right. So yeah, that will be enough for you to understand what kind of a relationship in between the data and with the information, and how the information is used to create the decisions, right? Okay, let's quickly go through the other examples that they have told, right? So the second one, they are talking about some like some parts of a picture, right? So when these parts of the picture is given separately, we won't be able to have a clear idea about it, right? Like we can have the assumptions, but not the exact idea. But when we create, or like when we gather the fractures or the parts of these pictures and make the full picture, then we can have the idea, okay, they are talking about, like they are showing about a family, right? So likewise here, this is something interesting, right? Even you can find this if you refer to your parents' NIC number, right? So the very first 2 digits of the NIC is created using the birth year, right? So you can check it with your parents once, right? Just ask for the NIC of them. So you can find it, even though it is a new NIC that they have. Now in the old NICs, it is only 2 digits that they are using. In the new NIC, they are using all 4 digits. So if this indicates 1974, in the new type, it's going to be 1974, not only the 74, right? And the next one, now this is this 2. This is only for the old NIC numbers. In the new, it is different because there is a 0 in between. And for the old ones, it indicates a number. This number indicates the gender, right? Like the numbers from 0 to 4, that's denoted for the males, and from 5 to 9, that denotes the female, right? දැන් කියන අම්මලගේ කරම් බලනකොට මෙතන තියෙන්න ඕනේ 5 ඉඳලා 9 වෙනකන් තියෙන නම්බර් එකක්. right? පාරණ ID එකක් නම් තියෙන්නේ. right? තාත්තගේ කරම් බලනකොට මෙතන තියෙන්න ඕනේ 0 to 4 වෙනකන් තියෙන එක. right? So it's again some kind of data which is given. So we analyze it, we process it from our brain. So we are getting the information, the birth year, the gender, those kind of things. Right. Okay. So before I move to the information system, is it clear, people? So far, what we have talked about? Any questions regarding that? Right. Great. Okay. Right. So moving forward, now we are going to get to know about what is an information system. Right now, earlier we are talking about just the data and information. Now here we are going to here we are going to come into a conclusion, or like we are going to get to know what is an information system, right? In simple terms, we call it an IS, right? So information system is kind of a system where you can input the data and that system can process the data which is given to it, and it can output the information. So the general format that we have talked in our definition, right? We talked about how the information is being created when the data is analyzed, when the data is processed and then arranged into a meaningful manner, then we are going to get the information. So when it comes to the information system, it's going to do the same thing. The only difference is this information system asking for the data. So those are called inputs, and those data will be processed by the system, which is the information system, then output an information, right? So if you think about the computer, there can be many different information systems in the software form, in the device form. If you think about the computer, it is the best information system that we have, right? So you can input data. There is a physical component called processor, which is there to process the data and will give us a particular outputs, right? So it is mapped into this general model called input, processing, and the output, right? So having the data, inputting the data, we can input the data through the keyboard, we can input the data through the mouse, right, as a pointing, and we can input things through the scanners as the images, we can input the data as voice, right? So those will be the inputs, right? Now, through this conversation, to my computer, input is going to be my voice. So my computer, when my computer receives my voice, my computer's processor, there is something called processor, where we are going to learn about that in second lesson. So it's like our brain, right? So it processes my sound and will send it to you all with the help of my router and with the help of the internet service that I am receiving from my internet service provider to your computers. So when your computer receives my sound, your computer's processor will process it and output it through the speakers. That's how we are going to have my words on your ear, right? So it's a complex process, but we are not just into that, like we feel it as a very simple one, right? So that is how the computer is fixed into this particular model: input, processing, and output, right? So there are many different places where you can find this kind of information system. The best place is an ATM, right? So we are going to the ATM, we input the ATM card, we input the PIN, so there will be two inputs, and the computer system, the bank's computer system, or it's kind of an information system, process the information regarding the PIN and the ATM card that you have input. Now, if you input the card and given a different PIN number or an incorrect PIN number, it's not going to process the things for you. Instead of that, it will show you an error message. This is not the correct PIN number. So please input the correct PIN number, right? So once you have given the correct PIN number, after you insert the ATM card, then only it will process and show the details of your account. It's not going to show you anyone else's account. It's only your account details will be there, right? So here, as an instance, it says the account balance, and ATM can show you many different things: the account balance, the transactions that you have done, right? The summary reports, there are different kinds of things, right? So data will be processed and will be output. Okay. Yeah. It's Ryzen, right? Am I pronouncing it correctly, Puta? Yeah, Ryzen says it's I'm lagging at his side. How about the others? Am I clear or am I lagging at your side as well? Okay. Yes, Ryzen, right, okay. Right, great. Now it is okay, he says. Right, great. All right, so another one, fingerprint reader. What is the input? It's going to be our fingerprint, right? Our natural fingerprint. So that once we put the fingerprint on the fingerprint reader, like when the fingerprint reader is set up at the earliest point, මුලින්ම ගෙනල්ලා fix කරනකොට, that the fixing people or the people who are implementing it is like taking the all the fingerprints in that organization, feed into the fingerprint machine. නැත්නම් ඕනම fingerprint machine එකට එකපාරට ඔයාමද කියලා අඳුන ගන්න බෑ. They are not that intelligent. First of all, we have to set up it. We have to configure it. How we are going to configure it? Everyone who are going to use that fingerprint machine is going to feed their fingerprint to the fingerprint machine for the very first time. Like you are introducing your fingerprint to the smartphone, right? I think you have the experience, right? Whenever you set up a phone for the very first time, neither. Then ඕගලන්ට experience එක නැතත් අම්මගෙන් හරි තාත්තගෙන් හරි අහලා බලන්න fingerprint එකට answer කරන mobile phone එකක මුලින්ම අපි fingerprint එක එයාට අඳුන්වලා දෙන්න ඕනේ. You have to introduce it. Then after we can use the fingerprint to lock and unlock it. Likewise, fingerprint machine should be feed with the fingerprints when it is being set up. Then later it is working as an information system. So we give the information by using our finger. So the fingerprint will be scanned and will be matched with the fingerprint that is in their database. And if it match, then they record, okay, this particular person has arrived at this time. Later, when we are leaving the premises, we are going to put the fingerprint again. Then it does the same scenario, the same processing, and it will record, okay, this is the time he is going to depart. Right? So then there will be a practical question. What happens if a person put his fingerprint for several times? Like that can be something, right? Someone can come and put their fingerprints, like after 1 hour, they can put a fingerprint again. After 2 hours, like they are going to put the fingerprint again and again. If someone does that, how the system is going to maintain it, right? The system is going to maintain it. It will take the very earliest fingerprint as the arrival time and the very latest fingerprint as the departure time, right? That's how it's going to work. It's a simple mechanism, right? And QR code. Who has the experience with the QR code? Now everyone has the experience with the QR code. Before Corona, it was a limited one. Limited means like we are not into that much. But after Corona, like we have to scan the QR code to enter some premises. Like if you are going to a supermarket or a bank or a shop or whatever the place, they are just asking us to like either to write down our information or to scan the QR code. Like scanning the QR code is an easier way. Like if you are going to write things, you have to touch the pen, you have to touch the book. Again, the virus is going to deal with you in some way. But if you just take your phone and scan the QR code, then it is recorded, okay, you are going to enter to this particular premises. So QR code is helping to do many different things. One particular aspect, QR code can provide the details or a link to a particular website, right? So if you scan the QR code, it will direct you to a particular website, right? Yeah, hold on a second, people. Right, so that is how the QR code is going to work, right? So here the QR code is going to be the data, and the mobile device or the device which scanning the QR code will process to know what kind of data or what kind of detail are there in the QR code. Then it will direct you to the specific website. It's going to be the information or the output that we are going to receive. Right, so likewise, if you look around, you will be able to find different kinds of information systems around you. Right, here's another particular one, very practical one. So like some data is given to the computer, so with the help of an operator, it will be processed and information will be built and the decisions will be taken upon that. All right, is that clear, everyone? How the data can be processed through an information system to receive an information? Right, great. Okay, so let's write this down quickly, right? So have the heading information system. I'll highlight the things for you to write down. Yeah, you may copy this particular thing down. Plus this one. Yes, people, I'm very sorry. I missed one important line over here. Please have that at the top of your note. A system is a combination of components that works together to fulfill a task. That is a must to be written. Then after you can go for these two. Sorry for that, I just missed that. Yes, Sanushi, yeah, that's a very practical example that you have given. Like when we are taking the WhatsApp chat on the computer, we use the QR code, right? Yeah, Isira, it's this starlabs.lk. I'll type the website name to the chat. And I'll put the link as well to your WhatsApp group as well. Let me know when you are done, people. Yeah, Pahandi, regarding the development of an information system, there are many different personals are involved. System analysis is one of them. Like when it comes to the system analyst, they are actually dealing with a computer system. Like in the development, we need the business analyst. Like they are taking the details about how the organization is working, and there can be programmers, there can be database designers, there can be system architectures, right? So there can be different kinds of personals involved in that. System analysis is doing a major role when it comes to the information system. Okay, one is done. How about the others? Okay, okay. Take your time, no worries. Okay, is there anyone who is still writing the things? All right, so then after, I want you to draw this diagram. Right, a small one. After that, let's write a one sentence regarding that. Right, so just draw the diagram, people. Right. Okay. Sanagi, is that so? Ah, yes, yes. There is some spelling mistake here in the information. Right. So after the diagram, we can write this sentence to finish the session for today. Right. So let's say it like this. Yeah, this particular thing. So you can write this under the diagram. And we can end the session for today. Right. So once you are done with this, you can leave the session. So thank you very much, everyone. And I'm going to see you on the next Tuesday for the very same time. I hope you had a good experience. So let's see. We'll continue from next week. Once you're done with the note, you can leave the session. Thank you very much. Have a very good night, people. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ryzen. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much.